for stopping by the Massachusetts Beer Review channel of YouTube. I'm Thomas Metal75. This is your Massachusetts Beer Review. And today is a beer that I noticed at the store. It made its way into a mix of six, and I had actually never heard of it, from Dogfish Head. It is a seasonal beer, 6.0% alcohol by volume, 35 IBUs. This is their Piercing Pils. Here's the Piercing Pilsner label. It first was introduced in December of 2013. They say it's a Perry Pilsner hybrid. Now, a Perry is a pear cider. They say Piercing Pils on the Dogfish.com website. They say a Perry Pils hybrid. The Piercing Pils is a Czech-style Pilsner brewed with white pear tea and pear juice. Both the juice and the tea were added to the kettle during the whirlpool for maximum flavor and contribution. They use spicy Saz hops and Amarillo hops as well. And it doesn't say much more than that. Comparable to a late harvest Riesling for wine pairings. And it's good in a Pilsner or pint glass and good with pasta primavera, barbecue ribs, fish tacos, and soft pretzels, according to the Dogfish.com site. Again, I've never heard of this one, even though it came out in 2013. I've been checking it out here and there on the YouTube reviews, and some people, even on the comments of these YouTube reviews, are talking about not being very impressed with some of the stuff that's coming out of Dogfish Head as of lately, although I'm looking for a nice, refreshing, easy-to-drink beer, and a Pilsner in the Czech style seems to fit the bill. So here's my Pilsner glass. I'm sure some of you have one of these. Now let's get a look at the Piercing Pilsner. It is a hazy lemony yellow. Looks a little orange on the camera. I assure you it's a hazy yellow. Lemony yellow, almost that lemony honey kind of color. Big old, little bit of a pop and fizz head. 3 fingers. It's fairly frothy and pretty substantial. And there is some of that bubble streaming action. Not so much like champagne, but it does have some action. Looks like a good Pilsner. Can't really complain. Looks the part of a Czech Pilsner. Let's get a smell of the Piercing Pilsner. Piercing Pils, I should say. Very spicy, bready type notes. Definitely a good Pilsner malt thing going on. White bread. There is some of that earthy, grassy, fresh-cut grass kind of notes. And there is that kind of an orchard-y flavor in the nose going on, in the scent, I should say. There is that juicy kind of a citrusy quality, a little bit there, from the pear juice being added. But it does have a sweet aroma. And it's overall pretty clean, so it has that bready, maltier side of a Czech Pilsner that they typically will have, so it actually smells alright. Can't complain at the moment. Let's try it for the first time. Cheers. Piercing Pils from Dogfish Head Brewery. I'm going to tell you that so far so good, but what I want to tell you is if you already don't like these pale kind of lager beers. You already don't like Pilsners or anything remotely similar to a beer that a macro type corporation will brew, then don't go into this review. Then don't go into trying to review a beer like this and telling us how you're not really into the beer when you already have a preconceived notion of the style that you don't really like it. I don't have a bias. I'm really actually 2 sips into this and I'm liking it. Here's what I'm getting. There's an herbal hop quality, an herbal spice. For sure, there is that bready Pilsner malt, that white bread Pilsner malt, kind of grassy, like the fresh cut grass if you get my drift. It finishes to me, before it finishes I should say, it has that citrus, fruit, juicy pear note going on. Has a faint, I'm trying to think of what variety, like maybe like an English tea kind of a quality going on with that. And it's pretty refreshing, I would say. It's a pretty clean and dry finishing and tasting brew. It definitely, to me, has those Czech Pilsner kind of spicy, bready malts going on. They typically, according to Beer Advocate, these Czech Pilsners will typically have a smooth and crisp taste, the clean malty palate, and it's mainly going to be grassy. This doesn't really show a whole bunch of the alcohol presence, although at 6% ABV, this is on the high scale, the upper scale of the Czech Pilsner style. It's definitely probably the biggest one you might find on a commercial level that you can probably get in your area. But yeah, it's an extremely crisp, clean tasting beer, and it's extremely refreshing. There's nothing wrong with this beer. There's nothing wrong with the Czech Pilsner style. You can't go into this beer, you wouldn't typically go into this beer style looking for a blow your socks off amazing journey, ride, and experience. But when a brewer does it right, it's just an enjoyable kind of a style. And I don't really find any reasoning to believe that the Samuel Adams, that the Sam is the guy that runs Dogfish Head. That I can't imagine that Dogfish Head just threw this thing together only trying to appease to macro beer lovers. I think anybody that likes more of a European take on the hops in the Czech Pilsners and those kind of Bohemians, Pilsner styles, you would really like this. And at 6%, it masks itself well, but depending on how many of these you drink, it could get dangerous. Yeah, all of that pear juice and the white pear tea elements finishing the flavor. Or the finishing flavors, I should say. I didn't mention this, but I would say the mouthfeel is on the high side of light. The body starts out light, and then for whatever reason I get more of a heft as I finish the beer. This beer is getting at the moment on Beer Advocate. I don't like to really mention Beer Advocate ratings because I like to be my own person in these ratings, but it's getting an 85 out of 243 reviews. The bros have not looked at this beer yet. And I believe Beer Geek Nation, Chris Stelz gave it a B, but he wasn't really overly, I don't think he was overly, like, jumping for joy with the style, within the style. He wasn't really jumping for joy, but again, I'm looking at the beer as stylistically, is this appropriate, and how well is it doing within its style, and what's my personal thoughts and opinions on the beer. So I really, really like it as far as a Pilsner is concerned, a Czech Pilsner. Let me give you a grading. I'll give it a B+. Not my favorite Czech Pilsner, but I think it's done really well with that Dogfish Head kind of a spin to how they do things. It's got a little bit of a hoppy flavor, and I think some of that pear juice and the white tea is just lending itself to working well with the hops. So I'm going to give it a B+. It's not too bad. I think I would choose, obviously, Pilsner Urquell is the #1. Czech Pilsner, I bet you all can get, and it's the classic example of that Czech Pilsner style. And I'm not even going to look where it's ranked on Beer Advocate because I don't see it on the tops of lists, but I tell you straight up that that is a really good beer, and it is really one to try. This one is ranked number 25 on the scale of best rated Czech Pilsners from Beer Advocate. So, giving this one a B. It's good. Don't knock a Pilsner style beer until you try it, even if you don't like pale lagers. This one might have some things to it you like and then would enjoy. So, until next time, keep tasting those great beers. Cheers. See you soon.